Here we're going to explore Caddie's new polar tracking functionality and how we can employ it for setting out a simple floor plan, setting out the walls, setting out the doors and window positions, and how that differs from what we would maybe have done before using construction lines using Caddie. We'll explore in more depth how we can set up the polar tracking, but before we get too involved, let's just take a simple overview of how the tool works. So going to a base plan here. If we were to draw out firstly a polyline, for instance, here you'll notice I'm set to endpoint snap, and moving the cursor around, we're actually in free move mode, and here there's no endpoint to snap to. So clicking down, nothing will actually find its way. However, if I come down to the bottom of my screen here and just click on the icon for polar tracking, what we notice is that we get a projected line from our point going straight through that point. And the direction of this line corresponds with the setting that we'll show you how to set within the polar tracking. Here I'm set to 90. So we have all instances of 90 degrees, so that'll be 4 around the circle in effect. So I can now snap onto that. I can move across, again projecting my line in the horizontal direction. But what's very neat as well is the fact that if I log onto that point, it also projects a line up here, and we can dictate how many points it will log to be able to enable me to literally move around my plan very quickly, very easily, maintaining that, in this case, orthogonal status. So let's have a look in a little more detail at where the settings are for our polar tracking. So under snap at the top we have polar snap settings. So a new dialog is presented to us. We have the enable, which doubles up for the button on the bottom bar. We have the increment angle. So here, as I said, I was set to 90 degrees. We can set whatever, and that will be all instances of that around the circle. We can also add additional angles, so where we want just a single instance, say maybe 22.5 degrees, 35 degrees, 45 degrees, we can set that and it will only occur at those angles, and we can add and delete those with the new and delete buttons. We have the maximum extension, so these are the points that are logged, so whether it be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that will give you the functionality to log on to those points and project them as well. And we can have our extensions indicated by line type, line width, color, and the marker color too. Here I'm just going to delete that, and we'll, in this case, recreate our floor plan. So setting it out, so 3 meter projection there, and then we'll wind through the door and the windows with what we had previously. So choosing our AEC tools, we'll go for our wall and we'll choose quick wall. So we're drawing in that direction, 3 meters, and because I'm moving in that direction, same rules with Caddie snapping apply, I can literally just indicate with a return, and that will give me my position. Tracking across and picking my point there to give me the intersection, and then we're in this direction down, so 900 millimeters, enter that, coming across to there, logging the point, projecting up, and then creating our finished wall on the end. And having created our wall, we'll insert doors and windows in positions corresponding to those that we have on the original plan. So we can use polar tracking again here. So whether we're using the copy facility on our door, so we'll pick the door, select copy, we'll pick our point, project up, and then literally insert the door. Here we can do similarly with the window, but if we want to know the corner position and then locate it from there, we can have our window, locate the corner, and then locate the direction. So that's another way of locating our new windows and doors. We can remove the doors and windows that we had originally, and here we're seeing the new functionality that we have on selection too, so we can choose the different objects that are within our a selection scope, shall we say. So we can have just the window, we can have the window assembly, and here if we select that, or we could select all if we wanted to, if we select that and hit delete, that will remove it. We can here select the door and remove the door, and then choose to put in an opening. So we'll choose our opening. We'll do it by indicating at the corner. So we'll choose a corner here, project down, choose a corner, project down, and again project down. So that gives us our position, and if we select our opening, and we select our opening again, we can change those to dashed representation. Taking a look at our proposed plan, we have a window to put in here which is 440mm from the existing wall and then 1085mm wide. So going back to our floor plan, we can choose our window. We have a suitable window chosen here. We can click on for corner insertion, OK to that, log on our point, and this time I'm going to press the equals button on the keyboard. Move in the direction I want, so I can type in 440, and it just says indicate the direction of the window, which will be in that direction, and my window is inserted. So when we go for our dimensions now, we get the plan just as we had previously. In creating our little plan here, you may have noticed that we have some additional selection opportunities within Caddie too. And here, as I move over the objects, you'll see that they're picked out in an orange. This is a user customizable color, and we'll explore how you can do that and set that in just a moment. And you see with things like DWAs, we have where we have a number of objects closely grouped together. If I select there, I get a little dialog box that asks me which of the objects I would like to select. In terms of actually setting those properties, we come down on our settings here to selected, highlighted, marked and virtual objects. So this is combining some existing functionality and some new functionality too. So there's the orange color that we see here. So that's the colored. You can also have thickened and highlighting when we just do a mouse over, as it says there on the mouse over. We can also, under selection settings, enable that selection dialog. So that's the little dialog that gave us the choice over which object we wish to select. If we turn that off, in picking our object here, we just revert back to selection as it used to be in Caddie. Worth noting too that when we are using the polar snap, so if we go back to lines here and just we're actually employing the polar snap, if we turn off the tracking, it doesn't interrupt the command, so it's totally transparent. We can turn it on and off at will whenever we wish to use it. So that's a brief overview of the new polar tracking and selection functionality within Caddie. Worth remembering and noting that this functionality can be used both in drawing and editing too, moving things around, in fact any part of using Caddie. So if, for instance, we were drawing in a rectangle here, we could use the equals, select our point there, just hover over it, press the equals button. In the direction now, type in, say, 900mm. That will take us 900mm in that direction. We could type in 600, 450 to give us our inspection chamber. But if we wanted to move that and line it up with the end of the line that we have there, simply select it, choose our move, pick the locating point, and then tie it in with our point there. So very free, very easy, very useful for drawing, modelling and editing within Caddie.